So do you need to hold off the club face going through impact to have a passive release of the golf club? Well, in this video, we're going to dive right into that and answer that question, and of course, tell you what you need to do to have a passive release through the golf ball. So I'm Sean from Chan with JChowngolf. Let's dive right into it. Now, to answer that straight away, do you need to hold off the club face? No, you don't. You absolutely do not have to hold off the club face to have a passive release, and I'd very much argue against doing that, because this is one of the biggest misconceptions about having a more passive release. And this is generally because you hear it on TV all the time, commentators saying, God, he really held off that one really nicely, where in reality, it was just a golfer that has a natural, nice passive release through it. He wasn't trying to hold it off probably at all. So, really, why holding the club face off for a passive release is going to be quite damaging is because to do that, you have to be very tense with your forearms. You have to grip the club quite tight to be able to physically hold it off. Now, you can hold one off and that will hold the club face off. You could hit a little kind of cut shot from there. But if you are going to play your passive release with a hold off face, you're generally going to be quite stiff with your golf swing. As we said, tense, so stiff, tense with a golf swing means your club head speed will naturally be slower. You won't hit the ball as far as you would want to because your muscles will not be firing because they're too tensed. So I know what a lot of you might be thinking out there. You might be thinking, how on earth do I have a passive release then? Because I always thought from the commentators or from my local pro that I needed to hold that face off to be able to have this club face with a minimal rate of closure going through impact. And how you do that is you rotate nice and efficiently through the golf ball. That's how you do it. Because I can, let's say, just an example here, without a golf ball, just these kind of small little swings here, just from hip height to hip height, I'm gripping this club at about 3 out of 10 in grip pressure, maybe even lighter than that. And I'm just rotating through, and you can see how this club is not flipping over one bit, because all I'm doing is rotating my body back, rotating my body through. Even if you just clipped a little ball down there, doing that exact same thing, you're not trying to hold that club off at all, but you're going to have a more passive release. You'll even be able to see it when you're doing it. You'll see that your club face isn't flipping over, doing kind of like a little chippy shot with just like, I've got out here like a 9-iron, for example. You'll be able to see that in action. Of course, though, it's harder to do when you get up into a full swing because we need that gradual, constant rate of rotation going through the golf ball for that passive club face. We don't need to grip onto the club for dear life. We just need to move our body in a pivot correctly and we'll end up doing it. So to be able to rotate more efficiently in the downswing and through the golf ball, there are things we need in our golf swing to be able to do that. It's not just as simple as turning through the shot. I'll put a card up here, which is a good video on that. We're going to get to some of these points in a minute, but we're not going to go into it really deep because it'll be too long of a video. So there'll be a card up there. And there's also, if you're interested in this topic, I've made a course all about this called The Ultimate Guide to Rotation in the Downswing. And there is everything you need to know about rotating in the downswing and how to apply it to your golf swing so you can do it too. There'll be a link down in the description to download the app, which the course is on. So ultimately from there, the few things we absolutely have to be able to have this nice passive release. We know the rotation is the one we need, but there are two quite important ones in there. Club face, we need club face to be nice and square. So when that club face is nice and square, we can then move through the golf ball very, very nicely. We can move through the golf ball very efficiently there, because when that club face is square, slightly toed down there, us rotating through that golf ball keeps that club face square going through impact. One of the big things we see with golfers who struggle to have a more passive release, they'll have the club face open, so we'll either be toe up or even slightly more, so that is slightly open to our swing arc. Their body would have to slow down their rotation and have an active release to square it. So if you're someone who's trying to hold off the face doing that, that ball is going right in a hurry. But also, we want the club not to be coming into the golf ball on too extreme of a path. We want the path to be fairly neutral, because if we can have a square club face and the path in a fairly good place as well, then we can rotate through the golf ball and everything would be kept through there nicely, would hit good golf shots. Because if we have good structure coming into the golf ball with our arms, our club face, our square, our nice path, we're going to naturally keep that through the golf ball if we rotate efficiently. We don't need to hold any of it. If we rotate through the ball, it's going to happen nicely. So for a good club path, a good checkpoint I always like to see for players when they're getting around shaft parallel is just having the club face just very slightly behind their hands, just in that position there. And that's a good one just to do a good few repetitions there. Like we said, there's going to be a good card up there for a video about this. So with that club being nicely on path, the club being square, then we can turn through that golf ball quite nicely with a nice passive release there. So let's do one here. Let's do a full swing. Let's have a little look. Nice square club face, nice good club path. Just got to turn through that golf ball really nice and briskly. So let's get to the good stuff here. Let's do a good drill. That is going to give you a passive release without holding it off. And this is going to be the best one for you to physically see. And also for one that's going to teach you. You really don't have to do anything with your hands at all to be able to do this. No holding off needs to happen. So what we do a drill called the preset impact drill. Preset impact drill. All that is, we preset our setup in our preferred impact position. So from the down the line, what that'll look like. One, my weight will be 90% on my lead side, so my left leg. I'll rotate my hips as much as I can, rotate my chest as much as I can, and I'll drop my trail side just a little bit down there. So I'm feeling like my right shoulder is just getting a little bit close to my hip, which is going to cause me to have a little bit of a bent right arm. So that's what I'll look like from down the line there. So from the front on angle, I'll look a little bit like this. Weight on that left side, 90%. Rotate the hips as much as I can, rotate the chest as much as I can, which would generally be a little bit less than your hips. And then I'll drop that trail side down to where it feels like it's getting closer to my right hip with a little bit of a bent right arm. You're going to notice how I haven't even said shaft lean once, have I? But this rotation has got me shaft lean. That's how you get it, guys. It's through rotation. So what I'll do, I'll set up like that, swing back, and then swing through. Well, you're going to see, let's do one. I'm not going to hold this off one bit, and you're going to see a very passive release start to happen. So preset impact, swing up, swing through, just a half swing to start off with. And then you're going to see, look at how passive that release was. Ridiculously passive. Again, I was at like a 3 out of 10 out of grip pressure there. So there was no tense kind of nature of that, no holding off the shot. I was just turning through the ball, because that drill gets you turning through the ball, because you spring back, spring through, the rotation happens. I could even lengthen one up here, so you're just not saying it's a fluke because of me doing it in a half swing. Everything's easier to do in a half swing. Well, let's ramp one up a little bit. Let's get that rotation. Let's do the exact same drill. Let's swing up bigger. You're going to see an extremely, again, passive release, because it happens through rotation. Don't believe people when they say you need to hold it off. Can you hit a hold off shot? Yes, like we said at the beginning, you can hit a hold off shot. That will make it so, depending on how extreme your path is one way or the other, your club face will most likely be open to your path, or at least open to your target. So you're trying to start it a little bit right, or what have you. It will have its benefits for sure, but that's not how you create that release pattern. It's through good pivot movement, good body rotation. So if you want to see that for yourself, try one out there, film it on camera, from the down the line preferably, so you can see the release pattern, and slow-mo it so you can see that impact drill, preset impact. It do its magic, brilliant drill to do. Everyone can benefit from that drill to some extent. So, right guys, if you enjoyed that video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So, if you want that more passive release and you don't want to hold it off, you know what to do.